Yo, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. My guest today is singer and songwriter Hayley Teal. Hayley's been a professional musician since her teens, from X Factor and major sync deals to cover bands, TV show bands like Dancing with the Stars and Australian Idol, and now releasing her own music fully on her own terms, all while stepping into a brand new chapter of life as a soon-to-be mum. We talk real industry life, burnout, songwriting without validation, and why an artist's legacy matters more than the streams. And she's got a pretty crazy quarantine story as well. This is episode 166. Hayley Teal, here we go. I think we're rolling. Hayley Teal, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Thank you so much, Stevie, for having me.
Sweet as. Now, congratulations on the little baby upcoming.
Thank you.
No worries. So when's baby due?
March 15.
Okay, cool.
So I'm 6 months. Yeah, just hit 6 months. So, and it's been a journey.
It's always the whole. Even right. I mean, I've got a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old right now, and it's full of surprises, and just before we were about to hit record, I got a telephone call from my daughter's school saying that she's taken a fall and can you come pick her up. So,
is she okay?
She's all right. Yeah, I think it was more so. I think it was more so she didn't want to go to maths in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's fair. Neither. I never did either.
Me neither.
Stick to music.
Yeah. So, I'd say you're probably waist deep in Christmas function season and all that, and I know you got to get away a little bit early today, and being a Friday, I'm sure you've got a full weekend of gigs. Are you finding that things are starting to get quite difficult being 6 months pregnant now, or not too bad at the moment?
I think knowing how crazy this time of year gets, this year I was just well prepared with saying no up to a lot of things. If it wasn't worth the time kind of thing, then I just said no. I knew that I would probably be feeling, I usually have a meltdown around this time, and I know a lot of my performer friends do as well, because I just take on way too much, do way too much interstate travel. I think the traveling ones are the hardest. So I just didn't allow that to happen this year. So I've honestly got it pretty cruisy. I've had a really busy November. I've got an okay December, and I'm kind of tapping out in a couple of weeks, bar a couple of things in January. But other than that, I really wanted to take my time and enjoy this time. And a lot of friends have said they kind of regretted putting their bodies through it as singers and performers so close to their due date, even though you feel like you can. It's kind of, if you have the opportunity to not work, then maybe take the break. And that's what I've chosen to do. So
very good. So this time last year then, so what would a regular December look like, or 1 week in December? What sort of things?
December was crazy last year because I lived in Melbourne for 10 years. I've only lived in Sydney for 3-4 years now. So I was flying back and forth to Melbourne every other week, and it was just too much. And then, Queensland and just all over, really. So December last year was full on, and I think the flying is the burnt out part, just the commute. So thank God I'm not dealing with that this year.
Yeah. Have you found that the pregnancy has affected your voice at all?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
For sure.
In what way?
Not so much my voice, like my range or my tone or anything, but my breathing. Because right. I'm gassed out just getting up to make a sandwich. So I especially for my more high energy gigs, like my party DJ hectic sets, they're really hard at the moment, and I've only got one more of them left. So I'm kind of trying to do more the weddings and the sit down and the slower ones, but just my breath, and I've lost all power. So which people told me I would. My diaphragm support is completely gone. So every time I try to belt for something, it just doesn't happen. So I have to try other things. And yeah, everyone warned me that would happen, and it certainly happened about probably a month ago. It's just gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the gigs that you are sort of giving up, so do you have an arrangement? Do you have arrangements with the people that you're working with that, you know, are you able? Well, what I'm saying is, are you able to take like a maternity leave?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really fortunate in my position, my situation with my husband, and it's, you know, obviously just a financial thing, and I have that privilege to be able to pick and choose. At the moment, I don't have that kind of pressure that I have to work and take all of them. So yeah, at the moment, I have some subs, you know, and for my bands. But that being said, I've got multiple cover bands, and I book them myself. And I probably still will kind of keep booking them, but I'll probably have a long break, at least 6 months of not booking that band at all. And then I might have subs to bring those bands back in. And then when I feel kind of comfortable, I'm kind of hoping to take a year off, because I've been singing for over 20 years professionally since I was 14. I'm 35 now, and I've never had like long service leave. So I keep joking that I'm not taking maternity leave. I'm taking long service leave because I've just been doing it for a very long time, and I just would love to spend that super quality time with the baby for as long as I can. So
no, good on you. Plan. That's cool. So when you said you won't be booking that band, does that mean that whole band will basically shut down over that time, or will you push that onto someone else to look after while?
Luckily, all those, you know, all the musos that I hire are the best, and they're all, you know, they've got their finger in so many honeypots anyway, so they're not going to be struggling by any means. So yeah, they'll be all right.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pausing, like I just got an inquiry the other day for one of my bands, Brooklyn, and I just said it'll be too much work to facilitate, because it's a 9-piece live band, and it still is quite a lot of admin, and I have no idea, you know, being a first-time mother, what that's going to look like in terms of planning, and, you know, so I just politely declined, because it's just, you know, the unknown.
So we're going to talk a little bit about, or a fair bit about your the whole bunch of new music that you've brought out. Now I got in touch with you, I think it was towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
To catch up and have a chat, and you said, well, I'm in the process of releasing a whole bunch of music, so let's do this once that's released. So we're here now, and I don't know, how many have you released? 5 or 6 new songs?
I've actually released, I think it's 8 now. I was doing the maths, yeah. But my plan was 10, and I know I've kept you waiting, but there's a good reason for that. It's because my plan was 10. Initially, my plan was an album of 10 tracks, and then it was just too hard to have it all done and ready. You know, that takes like years, really, these days. Oh, it doesn't have to, but for me.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to release them single by single, which everybody does these days. It's a lot more popular to do it that way. And just tried to smash out as many as I can. So it's actually been almost over a year. I think I did like a little personal PSA in June or July last year, talking about how I felt burnt out of cover band gigs, and my first love and passion is songwriting. And I started writing when I was 11. You know, not very good, but didn't matter. The love was there, and it's just an integral part of who I am as a singer and as a musician. So I just promised myself that I would write these 10 tracks and just get them out over X amount of time. I didn't really set a deadline. I kind of hoped it would be a year, but it's been a little longer than that, life. But I've been pretty consistent, like at least once every 2 months, I think, ish, there's been a new release. So, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm happy to be at 8. I've got one more probably before the baby comes, but then I was with my friends last night and they were saying, you have to do the 10. You know, you promised us 10. So
well, you've just sort of promised everybody listening to this podcast 10, so you committed now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how we go, hey? No pressure.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about the actual songs. And I was just telling you before we hit air, there's one song there, Hail Mary. I can't get enough of it. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. And then maybe we might play a little bit of that one when we get to it. And I can share with you what I think's awesome about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. So before we do that, let's roll right back to how it all began. So how did the young Hayley Teal become a musician? And you said you were from Melbourne. So were you born and raised in Melbourne?
I was born and raised in Adelaide, actually. And then when I did X Factor when I was 19, I moved to Melbourne shortly after that. And, just big smoke, gigs and whatnot. And then, I actually grew up in a musical family. So my dad was a drummer. He was in bands. And my mum wasn't professional, but she could sing. So I think I got the voice from her and the rhythm from him. They did lots of like family jam nights, music nights. And I would always, didn't matter how young I was, I'd always just peek in and, just was always intrigued. Got into singing lessons really young. Then I was in a couple of little like school bands and duos and things, school comps. But then when I was about 13 or so, I was pretty decent, and I kind of got an agent. It just happened organically through the singing school that I worked for, or agent/manager and a vocal coach. And they were kind of like pimping me out at certain, little events, like local events and whatnot. And then I started singing in pubs with backing tracks. My dad had like a PA from the 80s that he'd lug for me at 14.
Just solo, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Solo backing track, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of unique for that time. But I don't know, I guess my dad certainly wasn't a stage dad by any means. I was the driving force of like what I wanted to do. I was pretty sure about myself at 14, but my dad would carry the PA. I'd just plug in some backing tracks and I'd do 3 sets for $200-300 or whatever back then, on one of those old school invoice books with the ink.
Yeah. That's how we used to do it.
Yeah. I used to sing at the Holdfast Hotel in Brighton, in Adelaide, and then I was in wedding bands and then I got signed to a independent label when I was about 15 that wanted to make an EP with me, with a producer that I was working with. And then the EP kind of got turned into an album because it got some interstate label interest. And then they were like, you need to put a band together. So I was 15 and super obsessed with being in the studio and writing and getting this album done, and just jamming with these, 30-year-old epic players in Adelaide. And I'm just 15 and trying to hang, and trying to learn everything that I can. And then, I had a lot of fun with those guys, just did lots of local gigs, released the album that was called Chocolate. It's, it was a time. When I listen to it now, I'm like, oh my God, but it was cute. I had a great time with that. And then I was in wedding bands and I was just doing gigs pretty much around Adelaide, until X Factor. And then, the rest is kind of history.
So who were your musical, you said that your mum was a singer, but besides your mum, who was your musical influences and who were you listening to? And was it your mum, hearing your mum sing in those sort of
not so much.
jams? Yeah, okay. All right, cool. So who was it?
Yeah, my parents had such great music taste back then. I'm so grateful for their influence. They'd just give me tapes and CDs. So I got given Tina Arena, Shania Twain, Ray Charles, Toni Braxton, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Cranberries, Shania Twain. So my dad kind of loved a little bit more of the the white music, like pop, country, Shania Twain, Leanne Rimes, all of that. And my mum kind of more preferred the soul music, which I'm very grateful for, extra grateful. But I feel like I've got a good blend of the two. I never really got that much into rock until later in life. And I was just talking to my brother, actually. He was really into hip hop. So he had all the Tupac and DMX and, all those albums. And I would sneak and steal those albums. So a bit of country pop, bit of R&B soul, and a bit of hip hop. So that's kind of,
I think that all comes out in your new music, since you've just said all that, definitely.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hot mess because I love so much, and that was the hard part about honing in on everyone talks about a sound.
Yeah.
And I guess a sound comes over time. But in terms of picking like a specific genre, I can't, it's just, there's too much good music.
No one wants to be pigeonholed, eh? No, not a chance. No, good on you for that. Good on you. Is your brother a muso?
No, he just loved hip hop, and it was really random. Cypress Hill and all sorts of random stuff. So yeah, I'm the only musical sibling.
Okay, so the X Factor happens, the experience in itself, and what sort of doors did that? I mean, I've heard stories about these types of shows that you get promised stuff and you sign sort of contracts and that kind of stuff, and you get sort of caught up and get stuck in these contracts, and people, they record, their albums get shelved, they're locked into these contracts they can't get out of, they can't release their music. Was there any sort of situation like that with you around that time?
I think because ours was 2010, and it was kind of the original year after Random in 2005. So they brought it back 5 years later. So technically mine was the second year, but they were kind of calling it the first year. I think they were just figuring things out as they went along. Like the record label was Sony, but we all had big dreams, and maybe a little too big, thinking that we were all going to get signed. Like everybody in the top 12 was just going to get a record deal. Also, I was 19, and I'd been signed to kind of small independent labels already. And I was really, really serious about it. So I just took it super seriously, and probably too seriously in hindsight. I didn't really have fun with it because at that time, I was just really committed to, making it. Not really knowing what it was, but just being committed to making it, being famous. But after the show, I got sixth, which was cool. And I had a great experience on the show. Like I had Natalie Imbruglia as my mentor. She was great, and we really got along really well. And she actually did open up some doors for me after the show. She hooked me up with Paul Mac. So I flew to Sydney and recorded with Paul Mac, and, just some big guns in the industry that she just vouched for me. And that just gave me got the ball rolling after the show. And I guess I ramped up my corporate kind of career as well after X Factor, and I just jumped on that while it was hot. And I think I've kind of been riding that wave for now 15 years
into
later.
That. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so I have always I work in the band on Australian Idol, and I always have like advice to the young ones about like now is the time, it's like there's like a 6 to 12 month window after you do one of those shows. And if you just sit around and don't pump out music, or you don't get your corporate, press kits together and your videos and everything, then you've basically missed the boat. It's a very short window, and you got to just jump on it while it's hot. Yeah.
Okay. And do they respond to that?
Yeah. Especially last year, I'm so impressed to see so many of them like just grinding it out. And I'm just like, more than ever. So yeah.
That's cool. And do you think there is room for everybody?
Do I think there is room for everybody in the corporate world? No. I think like it's a bit of, like a combination obviously of talent and hard work, but in that capacity, may the best man win, whether you're the hardest working person in the room or you're the most talented, you definitely need a bit of both. And I think with that combination, those hungrier ones will outlast the talent that might be a little lazy or whatever. So no, I don't. I really do think that, I come from a time where paying your dues and starting from the bottom, I used to do gigs for free, like we all did at the start for a long time. And then I've done, $60 gigs and nothing gigs, plenty of gigs that you were promised money and you didn't get paid. And, and then you work your way up to $150 and then $400 and, you just work your way up over time. And now 21 years later, I charge what I charge because I did pay my dues. And I feel like it's an integral part of becoming a professional, musician and performer. You have to pay your dues. You don't just get a quick ticket to, the big league, So, yeah.
Well said. Good answer. So coming out of X Factor, you made the move to Melbourne. So what were some of those sort of acts, bands, projects did you get involved with in Melbourne in those early days?
Gosh, yeah. In Melbourne, I kind of said yes to everything in Melbourne. I did spend a lot of time in the studio, and I kind of had a little bit of, actually a lot of success with one deal in particular with a producer, Alias, that I worked with. We did a syncing deal with Maybelline New York, and so it was a song that we wrote, and I actually released it later. The song was, again, for the time, I don't love to listen to it, but it did it was signed in 48 countries to be on the Maybelline ad. And it ran for 2-3 years, and it was a very, very attractive check. Gary Pinto actually told us at the time in that year, I think that was 2012 or 13 or something, that it was like the highest paid syncing deal in Australian history at the time, or something like that, because it was in 48 countries. And it was, Maybelline New York. We had a really good agent. But there's a note for anyone aspiring to songwrite, to get a good syncing agent, because, the agent, their job is to gas you up to make you sound like such a big deal that the publishing company does pay X amount because they have no idea who you are. So they'll pay whatever they want to pay. And boy, did they pay. So that was a good time. But yeah, we signed to Ministry of Sound for a couple of remakes and things. But heaps of time in the studio, heaps of time collaborating with literally everyone. Like, I was dipping into house at that time, R&B, hip hop, pop. I was working on my own originals and just smashing out gigs, putting bands together and getting my feet wet in the Melbourne scene. And yeah, it was a really good time.
Are you still getting royalties and stuff from the syncing? That's cool.
Not from the Maybelline syncing, no.
So that was a set contract, was it?
It was, and then it kind of abruptly ended because it was affiliated with a specific product of theirs. But I do get regular royalties from other syncing deals that I had. I've kind of sold some of the rights to HBO and Netflix and a whole bunch of shows on those kinds of streaming channels. I do get regular ones, and that's pretty cool. They're not, a ton of money, but they're a nice little check.
Still something, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything back against one is good.
Yeah, going back to getting that, that's that good syncing agent.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I miss him. Come back to me.
Yeah. Okay, so still in Melbourne. What made you move from Melbourne to Sydney?
Oh, COVID, like everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually went to. So in my earlier years, when the Maybelline deal was happening, I went to LA when I was about 24 or something. And then I always wanted to go back and do a long stint of songwriting. It took me a few years to do so, but when I was 27, I went to LA for six weeks, I think, and I just set up a lot of sessions with a lot of different writers and producers. This is a bit of a name drop, but I had a session lined up with Darkchild, and Walter Afanasieff was on the cards. And, when I say lined up, they're all very loose over there. It's kind of like, you're talking to people and then you're talking to them. And I was super excited. A whole bunch of things. I was meeting with Paul Wilshire in Song Trader, and I had a bunch of big meetings that I was super excited for. And then I actually met up with my now husband he was an events coordinator in LA. He's an LA boy. And we quickly fell in love, and I quickly pushed all of the music and all of the things to the side, because it was just, one of those cute stories we were just tunnel vision for each other. And I was like, songwriting? What songwriting? So, yeah, I didn't write that much. In the end, actually, he's a musician as well. We did write a lot together, which turned out to be the best thing ever, and probably, God's plan or whatever. But, that was kind of my LA big songwriting experience that I had, worked my whole 20s up for, but I just got so distracted. But yeah, I married him, and now I'm having his baby, so it worked out.
What sort of style of music is he into? What's his jam?
Well, he's Samoan, so he loves just like island, reggae, R&B, soul, everything. So everything that I did as well, and introduced me to a lot of, amazing, all of that, like Common Kings and Sammy J, and just he used to have quite a bit to do with the One Love Festival in LA, so we went there. And just, opened a whole new world to me. And also a lot of the American R&B that Australia just completely missed. And just, so many unfamiliar hits. Like, I didn't even know Marcus Houston growing up. And, he introduced me to all of these kind of super famous people in America, but not so much in Australia. So, I guess I did fall in love with music again in a different way. And, was just writing newer stuff and different stuff than I'd been writing because of him.
Mm. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about that COVID time then, right? So Melbourne, had the pretty harsh lockdowns. So do you remember how you got out? Was it like a...
I do remember. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, good.
A lot of people know this story, but it's hard to summarize because it is a wild story. So his name is Prince. So we had been together for 3 years already. I had already lived in LA back and forth between Melbourne and LA because he moved to Melbourne. Didn't really work out. So we moved back to LA, and I was doing kind of 6 months on, 6 months off, or 3 months, whatnot, and coming back for gigs, saving money and just going over there and chilling basically. But then after the lockdown, we were apart for 6 months or 7 months. I just finished Dancing with the Stars in the band, and that's when the lockdown happened and the international borders shut and everything. So I was like, shit, I've got to get back there, otherwise I'm not going to see him. And I was due to leave about a week later for 6 months. Anyway, I spent the next 8 months trying to get out of Australia back to LA, petitioning to leave. He had some family things going on. And so I eventually get out. I quarantined in Melbourne for 17 hours in a police hotel. Then I flew to Sydney. Then I quarantined again in Sydney. Then I flew to LA for, I think I had 6 months booked for my time. And I get flagged at immigration, and they actually said I overstayed my visa by 25 hours the last time I left, which was September the year before. So they do a 24-hour grace period at LAX immigration, but because I was in the 25th hour, they were like, you're out of here. But it was also, this is a time when, LAX, like Sydney to LA flight was happening once or twice a week. Everything was, the world slowed down, as you know. And they were really just looking for an excuse. They didn't want me there for 6 months. They kind of wanted to punish me for overstaying. And it was reckless of me. I completely own that. But of course, in hindsight, it's not a big deal. But the worst part about it is I hadn't seen Prince for 10 months at this point. So we were pretty desperate. And they didn't have another flight back to Sydney for 2.5 days. So I got held in the detention centre for 2.5 days in LAX airport and didn't see him once. And then I got sent back to Australia, and I was living in Melbourne, but I'm from Adelaide, but I got sent back to Sydney, and then I had to quarantine for 2 weeks in Sydney and pay the $3,000. And then I had to get back to Adelaide, and then they were saying, well, you have to quarantine again in Adelaide. So I quarantined back in Adelaide for another 2 weeks for another $3,000. So in total, I think I worked out to be in isolation, including the Sydney police quarantine hotel, the Melbourne one, the 16-hour flight to LA, the 2.5 days in the detention centre, then the 16-hour flight back, the 2 weeks in Sydney isolation, 2 weeks in Adelaide isolation. I think I spent 36 days in solid isolation. So that will definitely make someone go a little,
Just thinking back at that, that's just madness, eh?
It is madness, I know. Yeah, it's madness. It was such a ridiculous time.
Oh, man. I mean, so from quarantine to quarantine, how many people are you coming in contact with? That's just ridiculous, eh?
Like none. Yeah. Especially in the quarantines. And the first quarantine, I had a little bit of a anxiety attack because I had just been locked up in the detention centre in LAX. not fun, for 2.5 days without seeing him and just being so close to him, but being sent all the way back. And police escorted onto the plane, and just hectic shit that's like so unnecessary for a freaking 25-hour visa overstay, like I was a drug smuggler or something. But anyway, I didn't really, thank God we had FaceTime and everything, but I didn't see anyone because I had a little anxiety meltdown in the Sydney airport. They sent me to a health retreat, a health hotel. And so I had a lot more freedom. I had a balcony,
right,
which was fun. But then I also had some mental health patients above me, and they were climbing the balconies and jumping down to my balcony and all sorts of crazy shit. So but I didn't really see anyone. So in the end, I was like, freedom.
That's madness. That's nuts.
Yeah. So after that,
yeah.
I decided I kind of got banned from the US. I had to figure out how I was going to get another visa. So Prince's only option was to come back to Australia. And I was pretty dirty with Melbourne, as a lot of people were at that time. And I, didn't want to go back to Adelaide. So I said to Prince, why don't we move to Sydney and give life a whole fresh start? And, my best friend was already moving, who's a DJ. And I just thought, why not, Fortune favors the bold. So it was a whole new scene, and he was down. So we just, he packed up his things and flew to the other side of the world and moved to Sydney. Yeah, so moved to Sydney and no regrets. It was, a great choice because I feel like I had done, almost 10 years in Melbourne, and it gave me a new opportunity to see new venues, play with new musicians, and give me a new lease on life with my love that we're finally together. So, and no regrets looking back. I absolutely adore Sydney. I've had the best time, and so has he. So yeah, we've been thriving in life, and maybe it's the water.
Great. What area in Sydney are you?
Well, we were in Drummoyne at the start, so we're trying to get back to Drummoyne, and then we were in Ryde, and then we actually just bought a property in Epping, so we're further out now, but we're first-time owners in Sydney, so that's a little
well done.
Small step.
That's massive.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then Epping, that was a few years ago. That's a really sort of tough area to get into. So congratulations, well done.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good area. We love it.
How do you find the commute? Because I would imagine that most of your work is in town, in city.
I'm honestly, I have a lovely car, so that's really nice, and I enjoy driving, but I'm feeling it a lot more. Drummoyne was 11 minutes to the city and Ryde was 15, and this is at least 30, and just Sydney traffic, so you've always got to anticipate that. I'm feeling it in Epping, but so hopefully we won't be here forever, but I'm also a bit of a homebody, so if I'm not getting paid to go out and sing, then I'm usually at home.
Well, you got that year off coming up, so
exactly. I'm ready.
Awesome.
Full nest mode. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about your new music, the process. Yeah. How you wrote and produced those songs, and like I mentioned, my favourite is Hail Mary. So what I thought we might do is play a bit of that song.
Play it.
Let's go. All right.
You're apprehensive when you meet someone, just looking for some fun, not trying to find the one. Don't need to rush it, there's no need to run, but I'm not just anyone, trying to hit and run. Do you want to go all the way? Only takes two of us to play, not trying to waste another day. Oh, I'm not that into games, but you don't want it any other way. You're down to last play. Time again, strap my laces up real tight, but when it comes to men, I can never get it right. Now go on, Hail Mary, hold on, if you're familiar, hold on, I'm ready, I'll be down, keep your head in the game. I've been betting on this game of love. You're grown but not enough. It's time to let us to play. So what do you say? Only me and you on the field. Only me and you on the field. Down to the last play. Keep your head in the game. Keep your head in the game. Now go long, Hail Mary, hold on. I'm ready. Keep your head in the game. Keep your head in the game. Keep your head in the
It's such a cool song. I mean, it's got that. I mean, just that sort of opening orchestral thing. It's that kind of the Dua Lipa type kick to the start.
Totally.
Of it. Your voice is so warm and dynamic, and your range is massive. So, one question I've got for you: have you ever measured your range? How many octave range you have?
I mean, it's always changing. Like
Yep.
it's changed over 20 years significantly. At one point, when I was much younger, it was 5 octaves, which was crazy because I could hit all the whistle notes and all of those things. But I guess, it's like, everyone says it's a muscle. And if you're not regularly using those notes, then you're not regularly training that muscle. So I did not keep those octaves. I think it's probably like 3.5, I don't know, somewhere around there. But for a long time it was 4, and that was cool. But, not everybody wants to hear the crazy notes most of the time. And because I'm majority a cover singer, that's where I do most of my singing. It's just super indulgent to be just like up in the heavens, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like to. I also prefer singing low. But, smoking and vaping and drinking and all of those things will lower your range.
Yep.
And, I've dabbled in the good life. So it's changed a lot over 20 years.
That's awesome. So, yeah, you speak about the sort of the lower range of your voice. And from of all the people that I've sort of interviewed over the years, there's not too many in that sort of range. Like, I think you're in a unique sort of band of frequency for singers, if you know what I mean. And I've had conversations with singers and asked them, if they're in like an ensemble or they're in a 3 or 4 piece vocal group, how they sort of find their harmonies. And most of those women that I spoke to were all a similar sort of range. So they're just trying not to step on each other's toes there. But yeah, going back to your range and your sort of frequency, yeah, you're kind of on your own there. I reckon that's cool.
Yeah, I do. I've always my favorite singer of all time is Mariah Carey. Everybody that knows me knows that. But of course, so many more singers than that. I have in general probably enjoyed male tones more. And when I was younger, I was singing Craig David and whatnot, for example, and I just wouldn't change the keys as a challenge. My vocal coach at the time would just say, don't change keys, just learn to adapt, which was great advice because I did learn how to sing so low. And now I'm kind of not a pain in the ass to my band members because I'm not always changing keys. I just work with most of the time what key it is. And I love singing low. I mean, it's cool and probably more, impressive to sing high, which I can do as well. You kind of have to have the
I don't know.
chops for versatility, but
I find the low a lot more interesting. So
I do too. Yeah, I tend to as well. I mean, yeah, a lot of my favorite singers now, Jasmine Sullivan and, even Brandy back then, just those beautiful kind of husky tones.
It's funny you say Brandy because when I was listening to yesterday I was driving home from work listening to a bunch of those tracks and I can hear the Brandy influence in there.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, she's definitely like one of my absolute favorites and a huge influence. So, yeah.
Awesome. So going back to that song, so, that the
Hot
little
banger.
yeah, so that sort of the pre-chorus where the sort of the drums stop, that's awesome, and then it hits the first line of the chorus, and and that line is go long, Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
You can picture it, eh? As soon as you sing it, you can picture it. Go long. Because here comes that part, right? So
Exactly.
very
Exactly.
cool. Very cool.
I like to write it's a bit cliche to say, but like so many songwriters say, I really think of like the visual, whether it's a video clip or something. I really like to write visually and kind of create a scene. And obviously it being based around American football, just the expression Hail Mary, which I know absolutely nothing about, but my husband being American helped me write it. And I think that pause was him. Even a lot of the intonation of the chorus was his idea. But I don't know, it was kind of on the nose and cute. And I did want to do a Dua Lipa kind of pop banger. I also got a ton of help from the wonderful Mark Malouf on the production and things.
He's one of my favourite people, and he's probably one of everybody's favourite people, right? He's
100%, yeah.
And those
he's
hugs.
Also one of mine. Oh, those hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the back cracks, which is very necessary at the moment. But no, he's the best. He came over a lot when I was working on Hail Mary. He was really excited by the track too.
Awesome.
And it's probably my most dynamic song because it just goes like from one element to another, and then it just like bangs, and it's got such a good bounce.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love them all, but Hail Mary's special because, and it's kind of like funny. You know, I like to write. I'm a bit of a jokester, and I like to write a little bit comedic. And there's kind of like, the song is virtually about, girls dating guys or whoever, and just being like, are you gonna fuck this up or are you gonna make it happen? So it's kind of sassy, but she's kind of cute, and the way that she's kind of delivering her message. So it's a fun track.
Very, very cool. And so the latest one that came out was Murder, and that's with Jason Hera.
Yeah.
So is that one you wrote, or is that one he's written, or you've written together?
I wrote it. He had a lot to do with the production. So
you can hear it. Sorry, you can hear it in his. Obviously, there's some live drums in there.
Oh yeah, and he did so much in the production, along with a bunch of other amazing musicians. Bo Golden, that you probably know, a Sydney legend, had a lot to do with the production also. But I wrote it a while ago with my husband, and I just wanted to do a pop reggae track. And it wasn't what it is now, but I was nervous. I do Australian Idol with Jason Hera. He's the drummer in the band. He's also in my band, Brooklyn, and he's obviously just a legend. But I was kind of nervous to ask him to jump on and collaborate because he is reggae. Yeah. And I'm just this, wannabe white girl, reggae, just trying to be like, bop, bop, And so I was kind of like, I just asked him, I said, I got this track and I don't know if you like it, but I stalled a while to ask him. And then I finally asked him because my husband just kept saying, he's going to love it. Like, just send it to him. So I did. And, he just smashed it out so quickly. And the bounce that he sent me, he added the bass, he added the drums, he messed with all sorts of stuff. Then we sent it to Bo Golden. He was adding like the keys and, brass and all sorts of stuff. And it just turned, and then he had a bunch of these guys from Mauritius, Jason, doing like the skank guitar and the organ sounds, and just turned into this like epic production. And God, am I glad that I did have the courage to hit him up, because he was just a perfect artist. And I heard it in my head, but I just wasn't sure. And he just brought it to exactly where I dreamt of it going.
Awesome. So these aren't in any particular order at all, so too much for you?
That one is probably just a self-indulgent R&B track that I thought nobody would really fuck with, but except me. And I didn't care. And I think, on that note, this whole journey has been about more so pleasing myself and just satisfying my original music itch. And I wanted to do, and I remember I'd released a track with Andy De Silva a couple of years ago, Lost in You, and we talked about it just being doing music for us finally, and just music that you listen to that even if nobody gels with, you listen to it and go like, man, that slaps, So I can safely say that about all the songs that I've released. I love them all, and Too Much for You is such a nostalgic time for me. It's that Brandy Monica time, and it's a huge part of who I am. And just slow jams R&B is my shit.
Yep. And so Rodeo's got the little explicit little E next to it in the Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rodeo was a fun one. Again, like Hail Mary, a little bit cheeky. Oh, a lot cheeky.
Very cheeky, that one.
And just like, yeah, a bit of my silly personality. And I also love country, like I mentioned before, growing up with a lot of country music. But it's more that kind of trap country sound, like Lil Nas X and whatnot, which I love, or Post Malone. And it's just a fun track and just a pop banger and just super catchy. And yeah, had a great time doing it. I still love it when I listen to it. I think it's kind of hilarious. So yeah.
Good on you. So another good reason? Another
good reason was the second song that I released. I wrote that with the beautiful Carmen Smith, and Bo Golden also helped out a lot with that. Andy De Silva, I think, mixed Except Murder, like all of these tracks mixed and mastered. And yeah, that was because I was supporting Gladys Knight last year, and I needed a bunch of original music to actually be able to sing at the support. And I had started writing that song, but I hadn't finished it. So I quickly put it together, and then I got to perform it. I had Mike Maloof on guitar at that gig. And yeah, it was beautiful to release that song, and I still love that song. It's just, yeah, beautiful pop track.
Thinking back, I think it was after seeing a video of yours and Mark's performance. I think it might have been that night or the next day that I first got in touch with you.
Oh yeah, it might have been around that time, because that was only was that the first or second single? Second single, yeah, after Running. So it was a super exciting time, and just the layers of that song is just a beautiful, kind of almost a wedding song. Just I wrote it about my husband, and it's all very romantic.
Yeah. So Running. So you said that was the first one you did.
Yeah, Running was the first one. Running was kind of like my trial. That one worked really quickly. It was one of those songs that I just wrote in a couple of days. Again, I think I had help from my husband. And then I dummied it to Ricky Nifo and Phoenix Martinez, friends of ours and fellow musicians, and they were just like, whoa. I think I just played them the first draft, and they were like, yeah, this is good. So that being my first kind of original in a couple of years at least, I wasn't sure where I was at, but it just happened. That one happened really kind of easily, and all came together, and everything I recorded at home and then just sent stems to Andy he did have a big job in cleaning it up, because I'm not the greatest vocal tracker, but it's fun working solo. I love stacks and stacks of harmonies. Obviously, if you've heard all the music, and putting them together, you just get in a total euphoric place of 36 tracks later, you're just in harmony bliss, and I'm just absolutely peaking. So that's the real magic for me with all of them.
That's cool. And with all of those too, you've made your own music videos as well.
Yeah, so my husband Prince is multi-talented, and he shot all of the visuals on an iPhone, and I edited it. It was kind of my creative vision. I always had an idea when I was writing the songs on how I wanted to do the videos. But yeah, we would just kind of get a plan for Running, a beautiful waterfall. That's kind of the vibe that I had when I was writing it. Another Good Reason, lots of pink flowers, and Rodeo, like a ranch looking thing. Rodeo, we jumped some private fences, and you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. In that element. And yeah, we were lighting smoke bombs. There's orange smoke in the Rodeo clip. And I think it was pretty much on someone's private property, and we saw someone coming out, so Prince and I were just like, run! But, the visuals are just as fun almost as writing, because it's just puts the story into a visual element, which I love doing. It's just another form of my creativity, I guess, and I just really enjoy that part.
Yeah, very cool. So they're all independently released? You're not tied to any...
Yeah, nothing, and I didn't want any kind of
outside influence
on anything. Yeah, and just also in terms of the whole playlisting, and everyone always asks, people have been asking me lately, how's Murder going? And the thing is about this project is, I've said, if you're an independent artist and you're in it for validation or plays or money, then you probably shouldn't be doing music, because it's just not about that. And all of the greats, when you watch, Icons interviews, they don't talk about, I sat down in the studio and tried to write a hit, and then there it was. They're all writing because they love to write, and they're usually writing something that is organic and, you know, intentional and something that they love. And that's kind of just what I wanted to do with this. So I never cared about streams. I never cared about clout. I never cared about pleasing anybody, or even just validation from my peers going, oh, I love this, I love that. Like, I just don't care. What I cared about was me loving it and listening back and feeling proud of what I put out. No one's ever going to be totally happy. If you're a musician or an artist, you're probably a perfectionist. You're never going to be 100% happy, but I'm proud of myself that I got to a point where I could actually just listen to it and step away and have the courage to just go, here it is, you know, this is the best of me, and I love it. And yeah, and I think that's the only way to really do it, because when I'm 80, it's my legacy that I've left for myself. And there's plenty of songs that I've written in the past on a label or for commercial kind of chase. And I hate it. I listen and I just cringe. You know, these songs I listen and I'm just like, man, these are bangers. Like it makes me feel happy and proud, happy with everything, pretty much, as much as I can be. You know, there comes a point where you have to step away from the mix. But I'm just proud that I did what I said I would, and that I love the music, and I don't cringe at these ones like I do at so many others over 20 years of writing. So
yeah, that's awesome. I'm with you 100% on everything you said then, because I did a similar thing. I wrote an EP. Once I finished this when my youngest daughter was a little bit older, that I didn't have to do 2 jobs, because I was working during the day and then gigging, you know, 3 nights a week. So I sort of gave the gigging away to be home a little bit more. And I thought, well, since I'm going to be home, I had these songs that I'd sketched up. So I just said to myself, I'm going to finish writing these. I'm going to record them and I'm going to release them as an EP. And I did that. And that's exactly what you do, right? You do it. I have no idea how many people listen to it. People say they do and whatever, but I'm not following it. But it's just, I know that it's out there. And what you said about the legacy, that's it, especially for my kids. You know, my kids will
totally.
Yeah, I mean,
it's.
Yeah, sorry, go.
It's terrifying sharing your music with other people. It's absolutely terrifying. But are you going to let that stop you from having it ever out there? It just sits on a hard drive for the rest of your life. And the amount of unreleased songs that I have on hard drives over years and years and years, I mean, some for legal reasons and restrictions or whatever, but it's such a shame. So I just said, like, fuck that. I'm just going to do this. You know, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, you know, quit stalling and quit looking for validation and acceptance from the public. Music is not right or wrong, you know. And if one person likes it, I mean, you like Hail Mary, so that makes it worth it for me. It's and most importantly, I like it. And when, like I said, leaving that legacy when I'm 80 years old, I'll go, you know, she had it going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, it was getting near 2:30, so I know you've got to bail. So, Hayley, this has been great. Yeah, I
thanks so much for your time.
Yeah,
what a hoot.
Dig your vibe. I appreciate you being so forthcoming and sharing the you know, all the backstories to these songs. So, I'll put the Spotify links and Apple Music links to all these in the show notes, and also your website and all that sort of stuff. So
awesome. Thank you, Stevie. Appreciate your time.
Too easy. Wishing you all the best for the rest of this sort of Christmas season, and of course all the best with the upcoming bubs and all that.
Thank you.
Enjoy that journey, because it certainly is a day. Everything changes every day.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited for the next chapter, and hopefully a couple more bangers before the little one comes out. Yeah.
Awesome. Really good.
Thanks, Stevie.
All right, Hayley. Take it easy, mate.
Have a Merry Christmas and talk to you soon.
And to you too. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you're still here. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Before you go, I need your help to make the podcast better. I'm running a listener survey to get your feedback, because without you listening, there's no show. If you have a couple of minutes, please head to thegiglifepodcast.com/survey. Thank you, and I'll catch you soon.